All the online right are rejoicing with the supposed death of what is being called Woke 1.0. At long last, people, even on the left, are finally admitting that the 2010s were complete insanity. Finally, we can answer questions like, what is a woman? Without having a circular definition. Finally, we can admit that putting men in combat sports against women is not wise. Men are now allowed to part their legs when they sit down, free from judgment. No more Zer Zem pronouns. No more drag queen story hours. We have the entire right celebrating, we have the left playfully reflecting on their past convictions, and we even have the LGB telling the T to be normal. Ironic. So, did we do it? Did we win the culture war? No. Actually, this is a
What?
sign of the right.
Oh, God. Did we win? Did we win? No. Too good to be true, yeah. But hey, at least we realized that it was all crazy. Am I right?
Defeat. Something that many, including myself, warned would happen if things continued the way they were going. And in this video, I go over why that is and the actual political drive behind Woke 1.0's death. And if you enjoyed, consider subscribing, it helps the channel. I said in one of my earliest videos that a right-wing revolution was inevitable. By right-wing here, I actually mean anti-woke. My reasoning was as follows. With the left's mass importation of peoples from the third world, who, by themselves, tend to be very hostile to woke ideology,
Oh,
the
you don't
liberals
say.
signed their own death warrant. The woke left somehow believed that these people, known for their tribalism and religious extremism,
However did they come up with that? Team up with the savages. This is the most retarded shit I've watched from the sidelines. It's just like, dude, seriously? You wanna agree with these guys? What?
would perfectly parrot the liberal worldview. They didn't, as should
No,
have been obvious.
they
This means
didn't.
that as the third world population grows in the West and becomes a decisive voter bloc, they would turn on the woke liberals who enabled them and try to impose their own worldview.
Of course.
As, by the way, has already happened in several cities and states.
Yes.
We're in a situation where many Western European countries
The third world has won, guys. The third world. All this Vogue, that was just a distraction. Yeah.
will become minority European within only 1 to 3 generations,
Crazy.
with most capitals already undergoing that switch. America has just a bit longer. On screen, you're seeing some of the statistics on this, caused by a mix of low fertility among locals due to
Scary. Look, Sweden is at 1.43. And you need at least, what is it? 1.8 or 2 to sustain the same population that you have today. Anything under 2.0, basically 2.1. Is it 2.1? Yeah. And so Sweden, which has 10 million now, eventually is just going to be 5 million, and then that's it.
to both cultural factors and economic policy, and the unrelenting immigration numbers, as well as the high fertility among foreigners due to their own distinct culture, and being a beneficiary
And you can't boost the numbers up by just stuffing in people from somewhere else and go like, look, we're making more babies again. Yeah, but it's not our population. These are people from somewhere else. These are not the statistics for the Swedish people. I'm just like, oh no, no more Swedes. Well, then let's take everyone from America and stuff them into Sweden, and then we call it a day. Crazy.
of the West's disastrous welfare policies. Therefore, if things continue as is, the West will be remade in the third world's image within the coming decades. Naturally, that means there are only 2 broad political positions that still matter.
And that's fucking scary. I don't want this to happen because there must be a reason why the left, where they came from, because it's terrible, right? There must be the reason. That's why we take them in. That's why they seek asylum here, because it's so terrible that they don't want to be in the place where they came from and thinking it's all better over here. But if we adapt and adjust our systems to cater to their needs, and it turns out exactly the same over here, then what the fuck is the whole point?
Either A, the third world, or B, the dissident right. who oppose their presence and the current establishment that enabled their mass importation. Everything else is secondary until this is resolved. And
Crazy.
regardless of who would win in such a situation, they will be anti-woke.
Yeah.
Given these options, where does that leave the left? The average woke leftist has 3 paths laid before them. Path 1, they can stay woke. They don't recant their beliefs, they continue to push LGBT, neopronouns, feminism, etc. unapologetically. Force it in schools, at the workplace, in movies, desperately trying to spread propaganda with every institution they still control to see if their numbers can grow enough. But they won't. And they'll start losing more and more to non-
Yeah, at one point you have reached all the ones that join your cause. You can only get so far. It is a niche. Not everyone is gay or trans. It is a very small minority of people in the world that are actually gay and trans. Despite of what the internet tells us, there's a very few people. And once you reached all those, what are you gonna do then? Yeah, you join a cause with the third world, but they're only gonna agree with you until they get what they want. And as soon as they got what they wanted, they're gonna turn on you and go like, well, fuck you and your stupid nonsense. Oh no, and these people are so naive.
non-woke leftists or right-wingers until they become irrelevant. And when the power struggle between the distant right and the third world really begins, they will be the first to be gotten rid of, effectively making this option an act of self-destruction. That's always been the woke leftist specialty, so maybe they might go with it. Path 2, they become
Yeah, the folk made me cut my hair. No more dreadlocks. Ha! It's the Remington Balder! I'm turning woke now. I have finally realized how racially inappropriate it is, so I had to change it. Dudes, no. It has always been original toggle. This is actually the OG model. And the dreads was supposed to be like a toggle. But then because the internet hated me so much, it became the other way around. So now this is a very rare occasion. Yeah.
based. A niche but increasingly common option these days, a lot of woke leftists have attempted to rehabilitate themselves, dropping their pro-immigration stance and some of their more insane cultural values, and then replacing it with nationalism. The combination of their economic policies with their newfound nationalism makes them oddly and perhaps deliberately similar to certain 20th century ideologies.
Now I'm
It's
true
rare
dark
because
folk,
so much of leftist
little kitten.
programming is about abhorring those certain 20th century ideologies, but it does happen. Generally, these people are treated by the distant right with suspicion, but they can't afford to be picky with their allies. So the distant right tolerates these based leftists, despite many believing that socialist policies are still innately subversive. Nationalism, however, remains non-negotiable. The moment one of these rehabilitated leftists starts advocating for something that sounds like civic nationalism, that is the belief that a nation is defined not by its people, but rather by the state bureaucracy, they're politically exiled. Path 3. They become a woke 2.0.
Oh no.
Woke 2.0 is a term coined in recent statements by high-profile leftist politicians, and it's being marketed as a less insane version of wokeness that puts less emphasis on cultural causes like the LGBT, while maintaining the same economic policy and pro-immigration stance. That's the main difference between the previous option and this one. The previous option is loyal to their own nation and wants to bring about.
So basically, they're just catering, and they need to drop something in. They have realized not everything works, and you can't just like push every narrative in one movement. It's impossible because people lose the plot. So they're dropping a bunch of unnecessary stuff, which basically doesn't get them anywhere and just hinders them. And now they just like, yeah, we just pick the ones that we want, and hopefully people are gonna notice this. But don't they realize that they are gonna drop you the rest of the causes as well as soon as the narrative shifts? These people are so ridiculous.
Their supposed socialist utopia for their own people, recognizing that unlimited immigration makes the welfare state unsustainable. Meanwhile, this option is
That's what I
still
mean, chat.
globalist.
We can't financially, this is impossible to just keep helping people that constantly are in need. Just like, oh my God, everything is like, oh, look at me. Oh no, everything is so bad. And you just give them money constantly, but they actually don't ever make a change or trying to make it better.
Effectively, it's attempting to signal to the Third World faction that the left are their allies and that they're willing
Oh,
to abandon the positions that the Third World doesn't like. When people saw leftists admitting the death of Woke 1.0 and calling it crazy, they thought that the right won the culture
crazy.
war. That is false. The Third World won the culture war, not the right.
Oh shit.
And what does the Third World faction actually want? It's varied because they're not homogenous, but they have enough aligned interests to be considered one political bloc for the time being. They want more immigration to continue so that they can continue to bring over their communities.
Of course.
They want more state welfare for them, more public housing, more gifts from the
course.
national treasury. After all, it's not their money they're taking to pay for these amenities, it's the locals' taxes.
Of course. I mean, who doesn't want free shit? This is wonderful. You don't have to do anything and you just get, and everything is wonderful. I mean, wow, we just go there and we just take whatever they have. I mean, as simple as that. Wow.
Their own tax contribution is often net negative.
Hmm.
The Third World also wants to be able to enforce their own rules in their communities, free from outside interference, which is why leftist politicians placate them by having two-tiered law enforcement and judges that are significantly more lenient with them than the locals. They want to see more of their own in positions of power and authority. And lastly, they don't want to see LGBT flags or pride parades or anything of that sort, which is why leftist politicians have been so keen on no longer bringing that stuff up. The modern-day leftist campaign strategy for any place that has a large immigrant population is to simply put a foreigner from their ethnicity as the candidate and just promise all sorts of free stuff paid for by the taxpayer. That way, they get the left-wing vote and the immigrant vote, which is usually able to win any urban election.
Just give them a citizenship and they will vote for you because you give them free stuff. And this is how the left always wins. Just like vote for us. Why wouldn't you? Like, you would be stupid if you seek asylum or come here as an immigrant and go like, oh shit, I gotta work and contribute to society in order for this country to work. Of course not. And that's an easy vote right there.
And all it costs them is having to not bring up the principles they've been championing for half a century. But understand, for many, this was the plan all along. The leftist leaders knew this would happen when they imported the Third World. I find the alternative hard to believe, that some of the most powerful people on the planet were completely ignorant and blindsided by the Third World's values.
And that's a good point. And back to the question previously in chat, who do you think rules the Third World? Well, obviously, this is all engineered and puppeteered by some mighty corporate greedy guys who bought the world, who bought the resources, who want to control everything, who want to gain oil and power, and they don't give a fuck about the people. We're just dumb fucks that stare at our mobile devices and are distracted and believe everything that the media tells us to. There are some really vicious, evil people on top. And the Third World gets controlled by this as well, obviously, because the Third World are morons. They lived in tiny teepees and hunting stuff with sticks. They're not smart. They would have never gone like, oh yeah, great idea, let's go there and steal their resources. Someone must have planted this idea. Obviously. We're never going to find out who and who's working together with who, but there are some very powerful people all the way on top that just want to see the world burn because this is how they profit. You don't have to be a monkey to figure this one out.
In truth, there was no culture war in the 2010s. There was a culture feint. While we were too distracted trying to argue what a woman is or the fact that men shouldn't be competing against them in sports, one of the largest and most consequential.
And again, people are very easy to manipulate and control and make you vote forever what they tell you to. Humans think they are so smart and they develop and that they have free will, and but this is not the case. No, everything is controlled by someone, and it pushes you this way. Everything. And society, someone is doing all this propaganda. This is a long time fucking coming, guys. It's something that we studied. I studied already um decades ago how evil the white man is for all the history. We've caused harm on indigenous people, and that we just raped and plundered our way through different territories, and how sad the brown and the black people are, that they have suffered, and we need to repent for this. And also with women and men, the constant battle, who is the greater of the sexes? Is it the men who have ruled for decades and built this world with all the machineries and your idiocracies? Is it conquering the world, building it up, tearing it down? Civilization rises and falls, and who is controlling all this? Who gets to decide what something costs? Who this? Yeah, and people are too stupid, and there's too many of us that roam the planet, and most of us are primitive savages. We are. We're still like cavemen, making fire and sitting in our tribes and going like, "Oh, TikTok told me to do this. Oh, it's okay to abort your children till the day they are like almost till conception." And it's just people are pure evil, awful, and yeah, maybe there are some weird overlords that plant all these vicious ideas in our brains, and just like watching this like a TV drama show and going like, haha, Friday's entertainment, which country is starting the war, who gets annoyed by whom, can we make them believe that they can actually change biology and nature? And yet people believe that they are the smartest one on the planet. I bet dolphins don't swim around in the ocean and going like, yeah, if I really wanted to, I can identify as a black wheelchair trans woman. Like, what the fuck? I'm going to change nature. And they distract us with all this nonsense because it's so freaking absurd that you stop asking the actual questions. How do we fix all this? How do we make it better?
Demographic changes in history was taking place, and people were too busy seeing it as just one of a myriad of issues. This was a war won without a fight. And notice how
Scary.
naturally the champions of the
Scary.
2010s wokeness have abandoned their causes, the ease with which they call their former
Yeah.
positions crazy. Left
They just run away. They're just like, never mind. We were crazy. Yeah, but you contributed to the society on the brink of collapse with your fucking nonsense. You made people afraid to speak up and go against all this nonsense, which is terrible, and it's still ongoing, guys. We need to make it stop. If you see something that makes you question, like, this can't be serious, you should be allowed to voice your concern and go like, no, this is crazy.
leftist politicians didn't stop being woke 1.0, they never were. They simply took on the facade that would get them elected and their agenda pushed, because
course.
that's what a politician is,
Yes.
and their voters should have been aware.
Yeah.
The woke crowd is no longer as relevant as it used.
That's the reason I don't vote, because they don't really care. They don't want to make it better. and all they do is always lie and lie and lie. And they have these lists of things that they want to improve and make better, but it never gets like they actually never go through with their decisions because the parliament is also such a weird place. You voted for a party, so they get like, let's say 60 votes, but you still have the other 40 that are constantly going to go against your decisions. So every time you want to go like, yeah, we need to build more schools, and then 60 go like, yeah, we do this, and then the other ones go like, no, we don't have the money and the funding for this, so we are going to vote no. And because it's not 100% anonymous, like not everyone is going to agree, they decide on, yeah, we're not going to go through with the decisions after all because no one agreed to it. Like some wanted it, others didn't, and so we're going to do fuck all about it. No one is actually pushing the initiative and going like, well, fuck you if you don't want it. We are going to make it anyways. We're going to attempt to make it better, despite of what everyone says. But that comes across like dictators, right? And we can't have that. Remember the last one that tried that? So, yeah, I don't know. Scary.
Used to be. And a new demographic of
That's not
voters
how the parliament works. No, but it's an easy, retarded, simple way to like most of these decisions get run through by parliament, and that's why they don't agree on this because they were always going to have the other party sitting there disagreeing on you, and the margin between the votes, like for now, Sweden, I think, is up 48% to the left. And then the other right leading party has like 43. And then there's a bunch of like in between, which they just like going to scatter around. So it's so close, right? The whole, and it's the same. Yeah, it's something like this. I'm not sure. Last time I checked, it was like 47 or something. I don't know. I don't follow it like step by step. I just like browse over it really quickly. I do. I'm aware of what's happening, but I'm not like read up above it about it. So don't quote me on exact like statistics. You have to do your own research if you're really that interested in Swedish politics. What I'm trying to say, and I've been around for a long time, and yeah, I could have voted for many decades now, but I've decided not to because it's always so close. And no matter what, sometimes it's the right that wins, Moderaterna, then it's SD, and then it's Moderaterna, and it always goes like that loop, right? 4 years, this party, next, then the people realize, oh shit, they didn't make the decisions that they promised, the reason we voted for them. So we're going to abandon this party and then vote for the other ones. And then they win again and try to do the same shit for 4 years. But they don't get it through because the other party is pushing against it, obviously, because they did the same while they had the power. And so it keeps going on a loop year after year after year. And that's pretty much it. If you break it down like politics for retards, this is what has been happening in Sweden since, I would at least say, 1970s. Ever since like maybe Olof Palme was the real, the last real guy, and a statsminister who actually made a difference. But then again, he got shot for it. So yeah. I can't recall anyone after him like literally making a impact and a better change. Yeah, he got murdered sometimes in the 80s, so that's a long time ago, Jen. Way before this Vogue shit started.
have taken over their role as the base of leftist political support. The liberal then was just a useful stepping stone in pursuit of this outcome. Now, his job is done and his services are no longer required.
Yeah, in Germany, about the same, I would say. What was it? Bundeskanzler Kohl, who came after. It was this, what was his face? Schröder. And then it was Merkel for what? 15 years? 17 years. Cool. Yeah, now we're going way back. Hey, is that guy KGB? Before Cole, it was let me see. Oh my god, now we're going way back. Before Cole, it was that would talking German politics. I mean, I'm already terrible at Swedish politics. German is even worse. Who was before? Goodness, what's his face? Wasn't he also leftist? Wasn't he? I think so. Before Bundeskanzler Kohl, it was Hobby. You must know this. Schmidt? No. No, yeah. Schmidt was way earlier. All I know is like Bundeskanzler Kohl was also like when they tore down the wall. It was Schmidt. Oh, Barney knows. Barney's an old fart. He knows. Yeah. But then Merkel, I mean, the shit she dropped on like open up everything. It's come on. Adenauer, yeah. That I know too. Yeah. I watched a other video with was it Based Logic? It had the same art style. It could have been Based Logic, or I mean, how to revert and go back and re-immigrate Europe and all its decision, and basically like since we are at the limit here, right? We are at the limit. We have basically shoved our own population aside to make room for different people to come and rule and take all the assets. Because, yeah, I guess Europe feels guilty for destroying so much over history. And we do want to repent for this, I guess. And then remember, chat, there's always a shift. Like every 30 years or so, there's a massive shift in population and what we are voting for. People starting to panic, and then they vote for a leader who promised them they can fix it. And then they think everything goes well. And all of a sudden we start a world war. And it's not going so well. And people start regretting that they voted for this guy. But now, if you go against it, you will be silenced or sent away to a gas chamber or worse, right? Concentration camp. And you have to agree with what you voted. It's too late. And I don't want this to happen. And then maybe you're lucky and a different country comes and aids and helps you with your struggle and sets you free. And then after the war, you have to rebuild everything, which was in scrambles, also politically, and you're starting to panic. And a country can get divided. Some people might think turning to communism and making it better will help. And then they try that for 30 years. And then they realize, like, oh, for fuck's sake, this is not what they promised us that it would be. And then after 30 years, they tear down the walls. And they get liberated. It lasted 10 years. From 79 to 89. Well, yeah, 10 years. But it takes 20 years to get away from that. And now they realize that getting away from it wasn't actually making or improving things anyways. So maybe it's time for something else. And so it keeps going. It's like these 30 years of cycles where people, I don't know, vote politically, shit falls apart, they get desperate, they're trying to rebuild it, telling themselves like, oh, we got this. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. So, 30 years ago, communism failed in Europe. We had 20 years to fix it. It didn't go like we wanted to. And things are still miserable. So I wonder what happens next. And I don't want some crazy person getting the power and telling all the people that they have the solution to all the problems, because people are desperate and they've had enough of this. I don't want this to happen. I really don't. Because that's not the solution. We're just going to make it absolutely terrible for a couple of decades and then try and move on to something else.